This story begins with a boy who is being mistreated by his father while his mother doesn't care about what is happening. Now we move to the present, where the protagonist and his companions, Ayaka Sogo, Shogo Oyamada, Tomohiko Yasu, Hijiri Takao, Itsuki Takao, Kobato Kashima, and, finally, Professor Tomotsu Zakurogi, are on a field trip. But everything changes when they are teleported to another world called Aelion by order of the goddess Vicious. This goddess tells them a story about heroes who defeated evil 200 years ago. But this evil, called the Great Demonic Empire, has resurfaced, and that's why they were summoned, as they were chosen to defeat this evil. However, the students don't trust the goddess much and ask if they can return to their world. The goddess tells them that to return to their world, they need to obtain the essence of the Demon King. Then, the goddess begs them to please save the world. The students end up accepting, but they know they are normal humans. Then, the goddess tells them that they possess powers that humans in this world do not have. Still confused, the goddess demonstrates the existing powers by killing a kind of demonic dog. Then, one by one, they have to touch the crystal ball to know their power rank. Some of them have more power than others, but only a few achieve rank S, the highest of all. When it's time to measure the power of the protagonist, Tuka Memori, the crystal ball doesn't shine as much as his companions, since his rank is the lowest of all, but he has a unique ability: inflict altered states. The goddess proposes an important ritual, which will consist of calling Tuka to discard him, as he is the lowest level in the group. And for this she will send him to some ruins known as the Ruins of the Wastes, full of monsters and danger, to see if he can survive, and thus continue being part of the group. Tuka, shocked, begs her not to do it, as he has a unique ability, but the goddess says that this ability is useless, as it only works with low-level monsters, and moreover it doesn't always work. Yasu, one of his companions who gained the power of the Dark Hero, approaches the protagonist not to help him, but to insult him, despite Yasu being bullied by his classmates before coming to this world, and only Tuka helped him. When the teleportation begins, the goddess gives him a leather bag that was useless because, according to her, Toka wouldn't be able to use it with his power level. It was then that Ayaka approaches, as it is an injustice for Tuka to be discarded. But the goddess hits her and knocks her out. The protagonist, angry, attacks the goddess, but it has no effect, as she is immune. Once the protagonist is teleported, a monster attacks him. Desperate, the protagonist tries to use his unique ability, Paralyze, and manages to paralyze the monster. Then more monsters appear, and the protagonist paralyzes and poisons them all, realizing that what the goddess said was a lie. Later, Tuka encounters a pack of monsters, but knowing that his power works against them, he doesn't hesitate to use it, paralyzing and poisoning them to level up. As he becomes very strong, the monsters flee whenever they see him. With incredible power, Tuka can even defeat dragons and entire packs of monsters. Later, he decides to walk through the ruins, where he will find treasures left by people who died there. In one of those caves, he will find a sage known as Anglin, the Dark Hero, who died leaving a note saying that he ended up there because of the goddess and wanted to leave his belongings for the next person who found his body. Among the sage's belongings, Tuka will find the forbidden arts that will help him in the future to take revenge on the goddess. To leave the ruins, Tuka has to defeat a powerful monster, but he can't use his Paralyze ability in front of it, as the monster attacks whenever it sees someone with its eye. To defeat it, Tuka will act weak and defenseless to make it lower its guard, and when it least expects it, he will use his ability to paralyze it and then kill it with his other ability, Poison. Now we are presented with the timeline of Tuka's companions, showing that while some are hunting monsters to level up and gain combat experience, others are trying to form a group in case a betrayal occurs among the class. On the other hand, a hooded girl appears, trying to escape from some knights. At the same time, Tuka encounters a pack of slimes trying to kill another slime. Seeing this, Tuka remembers his past and decides to help the slime, who will become his travel companion. Tuka will call him Piggymaru to avoid calling him slime. Later, Tuka meets the knights who were chasing the girl. With his ability, Tuka paralyzes and poisons them, but he also finds the girl who was fleeing and paralyzes her in case she is an enemy as well. Tuka decides to talk to her to find out if she is an enemy or not, and while exchanging information, Tuka decides she is not an enemy, leaves the girl, and walks away. Tuka arrives in the provincial city of Mills and decides to enter. To gather information, he decides to walk around and look for a tavern, as according to him, information is easily obtained there, and that's what happened. Then he goes to his room, deciding what to do next, as he needs someone who can read the sage's scroll, and for that, he has to go to the Witch of Taboos in the land of the golden-eyed monsters. Additionally, he needs to upgrade Piggymaru, but for that, he needs to get bone powder from the Skeleton King, so he decides to go to the Mill's ruins. The next day, he meets the hooded girl and decides to hire her to buy equipment without being scammed, as he knows nothing about this world, and they both introduce themselves with false names. Once inside the ruins, Tuka easily defeats the monsters thanks to his ability, and while walking, he encounters people who want to kill the girl, but Tuka paralyzes them so the monsters can finish them off. After a nap, other adventurers appear who want to withdraw from this mission because, according to them, there is someone incredibly powerful inside the ruins who kills monsters without touching them, not knowing it is Tuka who kills those monsters. As he ventures further into the ruins, he finally finds the room with the treasure and the guardian, but the guardian dies instantly at Tuka's hands. At the same time he grabs the treasure, he meets the girl, and decides to give her the treasure since Tuka is interested in something else, the Skeleton King's bone powder. The girl then decides to be his bodyguard until they get the powder so she can repay him for the treasure he gave her. Tuka agrees and introduces Piggymaru to the girl. After a while, the girl wakes up since Tuka put her to sleep with his ability. While she is asleep, Tuka discovers the girl's true identity, but decides not to say anything. Later, they encounter the Skeleton King, and as always, Tuka defeats him with his ability. Once he obtains the bone powder, Piggymaru finds an egg, and Tuka decides to keep it. Once out of the dungeon, Tuka wants to continue with the girl's bodyguard service to go to the Witch of Taboos. He also reveals that he knows who the girl really is. After a long conversation, Saras accepts the bodyguard job. Later, Saras goes to claim her reward from the Chalice of the Ruin and then to meet up with Tuka, but she never arrives. So, Tuka decides to check what happened and finds out that Saras is being pursued. Tuka decides to look for her and finds her on the ground fighting a knight, then uses his ability and defeats him. Thank you for listening to this summary, and don't forget to subscribe for more.